So, you can see that this is how she has created the scale that measures brand personality, and this scale has 5 dimensions and it has so many items. So many means 15 items. So 5 dimensions across 15 items. Now what do really mean? How do we mean? How do we apply this scale to brands that we see around us? Now it is not possible that a brand will have all the 5 dimensions. It is also not possible that it will have only one dimension. All brands will have some element of at least 2 or 3 dimensions in it. So how do we apply this scale is in the following manner. When we try and measure which items are present in this brand, and when we calculate the responses given by the consumers, we will see that any one dimension of these 5 score the highest. The highest number of people are saying that this brand is more sincere or more exciting, most sincere or most exciting or most competent, most sophisticated or most rugged. So what we have to see as brand manager is which dimension is scoring the highest in any survey, and that becomes the brand personality of that brand. Let us look at some examples. Now when you think of Volvo and IBM, what brand dimension comes to your mind? Brand personality dimension, and this is the result of a survey that I am sharing with you. So when we asked people who are the consumers of Volvo and IBM, these two brands, the most common answer that they gave was competence. So Volvo and IBM are competent brands. Their brand personality is characterized by the dimension called competence. So these are competent brands. All right, that is how we look at brand personality. When you think of these two brands, Apple and MTV, what do you think will be the dimension that will score the highest? No points for guessing, because it is very obvious that both the brands are very exciting brands, and that is why most people have rated this as excitement. Let us look at the next two brands, Gucci and Rolex. Both of them are luxury brands, and it is very easy to say that they are also sophisticated brands. So the dimension that would score the highest in these two cases will be sophistication. Lego and IKEA, again the dimension that comes to our mind is sincerity, and again for the ruggedness dimension, it is very obvious that Jeep and Harley Davidson can be considered as rugged brands. Now these may seem to you very obvious, but let us come back to this scale. And in this scale, we have seen example of each one of these dimensions in terms of brands. Now how will it be useful to a brand manager? Now for example, say MTV or Apple is considered as an exciting brand. Now if you look at the scale, when the measurement of brand personality is done, it is not done with the dimension as the questions. It is done with these items as the question. So under excitement, so MTV and Apple are considered exciting brands. Look at the constituting items. What are those items? Daring, spirited, imaginative and up to date. Now while we are saying that MTV and Apple are exciting brands, let us look at the scores of daring, spirited, imaginative and up to date, and there we will see where it is scoring high and where it is scoring low. So wherever it is scoring low, brand manager will think of ways to increase that item in that brand. So for example, in Apple, suppose you get low scores on daring, which means brand is not doing daring acts anymore. So, it will give a feedback to the product engineers, it will give a feedback to the CEO and to the marketing department that you are falling behind on the daring part of being exciting, and therefore, you must do something. Similarly, it can be done for all the 5 dimensions. Another aspect that we can keep in mind is when you get the highest score on any one dimension, you can think of on what dimension are you getting the second highest score, and do you really want that dimension to be the second, or you want some other dimension to be the second. So, that is something that brand managers can think about, and then they can work upon it. They can also see which dimension is coming as last, and they must again consider whether it is okay to have that dimension as the last dimension, or they would like to work upon it. So, this is how brand personality becomes useful to brand managers and to companies. Let us move further. Now, what is the source of this brand personality? What is the source of these items, these dimensions, etc.? And you will see that there are 3 types of sources which create these dimensions, these items, and ultimately it will all go down to verbal, visual, emotional and sensory impressions. So, the first category of source is the company level sources, and what is that? CEO or MD. Now, all of us know Elon Musk, he has recently taken over Twitter. So, his personality becomes very important for determining the brand personality of Twitter, of Tesla and of all other companies that he owns. So, in any company, the personality of the leader, in most cases it could be MD or CEO, so his or her personality becomes very important, and it becomes almost synonymous with the brand personality of that brand. Similarly, employees. Now, CEO, MD is also an employee, but there are many other employees in the organization, and they are interacting with consumers, they are shown, they are seen in society, they are seen in public as employee of that company, and their the way they behave, the way they act, that also contribute towards formation of the brand personality. Marketing mix, all of you would know, being a student of marketing mix means 4 P's: product, price, place, promotion in the case of product, and 7 P's in the case of service, where we add people, process and physical evidence. So, marketing mix also go on to determine the brand personality of the brand. And then the country of origin. So, if a company, if a brand comes from say America, or it comes from China, or if it comes from India, or it comes from Bangladesh, people think, people have an image about that brand because it is coming from a certain country. So, for example, if any software product comes from India, people across the world will think that it must be a very reliable product because it is coming from India. So, that is how it will perhaps add to the competence dimension of the brand personality of that software. And then of course, company's moral values. We have discussed the example of Tata Steel, where it comes across as a highly morally upright kind of an organization. So, that contributes to the brand personality of that company. So, for example, if it is Tata Steel, perhaps it will come across as a sincere brand personality rather than any other. So, this is the first level of source. The second level of sources are symbolic sources, which means an endorser, which means the brand ambassador. So, recently we spoke about Amitabh Bachchan being the brand ambassador of Samsonite. So, how the image of the two gels together and it creates brand personality for that brand. Similarly, typical brand user. So, a person who uses Samsonite, who uses VIP, and what is the personality of that user. So, that contributes towards the creation of brand personality. And then of course, brand name, brand logo, the way advertisements are done, all of them contribute towards the formation of brand personality. Here also in the example below, you can see Saurabh Ganguly along with the chairman of Bandhan Bank. If you remember, Bandhan Bank was earlier actually an NGO, and because it did a very good job, Reserve Bank allowed Bandhan Bank to become a bank and operate commercial banking operations. So, Saurabh Ganguly became a brand ambassador because he also possesses similar value system. The third source for creation of brand personality is the consumer based source. So, consumers experiences, the kind of word consumer spreads about the brand, and the way the community gets created of same product being used by a large number of consumers, all of them come together to form the brand personality of any brand. Some other factors that we must think about when we are studying brand personality, and those factors are, on the left hand side you will see all the 5 dimensions given, and on the right hand side it is perhaps restating of what we have already seen, yet it is a little different. So, you must pay some attention to this slide where we say that sincerity comes from own experience. Now, own experience means what? It means consumers' experience of the brand. Then it also comes from company's moral values, and it comes from company's employees. So, for example, if you remember Sahara, now Sahara used to say that it is for India, Sahara Parivar, it is contributing towards India's growth story, etc. So, it used to talk a lot about morality, etc. So, company's moral values were very high, but its employees' values were very low. So, they will collect money every day from small shopkeepers, and when shopkeepers wanted to take the money back, they never got their money back. So, there was a great rift or great difference between companies' moral values and the moral values of employees on the ground. So, because of this difference, because of this contrast, or because of this opposing behavior seen on TV versus what is seen on the ground, the company did not come across as a sincere company, and today it has folded down and its owner is in jail. So, definitely we will not consider Sahara as the sincere brand. Similarly, excitement, where does excitement come from? It comes from brand logo, endorser, advertisement style, and so on. And then competence comes from product attributes, word of mouth, own experience. Sophistication comes from, very important, price. So, if the brand is very expensive, you will think that it is a sophisticated brand. So, price becomes a very powerful indicator of a brand being sophisticated, and ruggedness, which all of us understand. Let us move further. I am going to share with you one scale which was actually developed by me for measuring business media brand personality. This is something very interesting because it is different from what Jennifer Aaker created as the measurement of brand personality. Now, Jennifer Aaker's scale, if you see, applies to all brands. Okay, she did not say that this scale can be used to measure brand personality of only luxury brands, of only media brands, or only B2B brands, or only B2C brands. She did not say any such thing. She said that this is a brand personality scale, and then you can use it to measure any and every product brands in any and every product category. It is universally applicable, and that is why Jennifer Aaker's scale, this scale is very popular and used liberally by both students and professionals. But in the scale developed by me, you can see it is very specific, it is peculiar, it is applicable only to measure business media brand personality. So, only business media brands this scale will measure. It will not even measure simple media brands. For example, it will not measure NDTV, but it will measure NDTV profit. Alright. It will not measure Hindu, but it will measure Business Line. It will not measure Times of India, but it will measure Economic Times. So, that is the kind of scale that this study has developed, and this is a new trend in the study of brand personality. Newer scales are being developed to measure brand personality in different product categories. So, for example, there is a brand personality scale only to measure news media brands. Alright. There is a brand personality scale that measures the personality of websites. So, there are many such scales that are coming up in the marketing research domain, and it is becoming more and more important because there is a clutter everywhere. There is a very large number of products available in every product category, and it is becoming more and more difficult for consumers to decide which product or which brand to actually use, which brand to invest your emotions in, so that you form a relationship with that brand. So, this is a trend that is happening in the field of marketing research, and I am sharing with you something which is a part of that trend. So, if you look at this scale, in this scale there are 14 dimensions. It does not have 2 layers, okay, like in Jennifer Aaker's case. You can see there is a dimension, there are 5 dimensions, and each dimension has certain number of items. Those items contribute towards definition of those dimensions. In this case, if you see the last, yes, in this case you see that there are 14 dimensions and there are no items that define those dimensions. Let us begin by, and you will see that these dimensions on their own are quite precise and quite easily observable. For example, the first one is analytical. Now, a business media brand, is it analytical or is it not? It is not very difficult to find out. When you listen to a TV analysis, a program analysis, or when you listen or when you read an article, are they analyzing from many perspectives, or is it a motivated article? It can easily be made out whether it is analytical or it is not analytical. Similarly, the other dimensions are analytical, precise, intellectual, rigorous, responsive, ambitious, reputational, engaging, organized, focused, youthful, innovative, canonical, and trustworthy. So, these are the 14 dimensions across which any business media brand can be studied, can be analyzed, and can be understood. One interesting exercise that I had done while we were developing this scale was a comparison between the brand of Economic Times and Business Line, and the results were most profound and interesting, but that we will leave for another day. So, today we have seen what really is brand personality, and to summarize, let us go back to the first slide. Brand personality is nothing but brands assuming human like traits or human qualities, and when brands become like human beings, it becomes easier for consumers to enter into a relationship with a brand. And when we enter into a relationship with a brand, we are entering into relationship with another person, and when we are entering into relationship with another person, it becomes easier for us to like that person and have a relationship, that and the relationship with another person can be of many types. It can be friendship, it can be romantic, it can be parent child, it can be student teacher, it can be friend philosopher guide, it can be, so a huge number of options are available in terms of relationships, the type of relationship that you can enter into with a brand. And when brand managers develop their brand as a personality, what they are actually developing is potential of relationship formation. So, they are developing that potential of consumers entering into that relationship with their brand. And later on, as the brand develops, as it becomes a stronger and a more clearly positioned personality, brand managers will see that more and more people are entering into that relationship with their brand, and because there is a relationship with the brand, consumers continue to buy that product over a long period of time, and therefore ensure that brand has a long shelf life, it remains relevant for a long period, and it promises good revenues to the organization. So, today we have seen brand personality. You must observe this trend of this course, the way it is moving forward. We began with brand associations being the foundation of brand management activity. Then we saw that brand associations are of 4 types: visual, verbal, emotional and sensory. And those associations have to be mined, those associations have to be understood, they have to be identified, and then they have to be analyzed. And when they are analyzed well, what you obtain are consumer insights. With those consumer insights, what you do is you create a brand iceberg. In that brand iceberg, you know you have 2 parts. One is the above the surface and below the surface. What is most important is to understand what is below the surface. And if you are able to trace the sources of where does the entries come from below the surface, you will have to dig deeper into the history of the brand. You will have to see important events in the life of the brand. You will have to see important people who are associated with that brand. You will have to see important milestones that that brand has achieved in its history of whatever years. So, if you are able to understand all that, you will be able to create that brand iceberg, particularly the lower part of the iceberg that determines the substance or the value system of the brand. And from that substance, from that value system, what you, when you move forward, you do is you create a personality, and that personality becomes very real when you know that this is the value system of that personality. These are the skills that that personality possesses. These are the dimension, personality dimension. This is a competent person, this is an exciting person, this is a sophisticated person, and so on so forth. So, this way you create a personality, and once you create a personality, you create a potential for relationship that a consumer can enter into with that personality. So, this way you are not only creating a business opportunity, you are also creating possibility of richness in people's lives. So, you are indirectly creating a richer life possibility for human beings in society, because, and this becomes particularly important because people today are finding it very difficult to enter into relationship with fellow human beings. They are finding it an extremely anxiety provoking idea that I have to actually meet another human being and talk to that person and engage with him and spend some time with him or her. This is becoming more and more difficult because we are becoming more and more comfortable with technology intervened reality. So, we find it easier to communicate through text messages rather than sitting across the table and talking to another individual. So, this aspect, when brand managers develop brands as brand personalities, what you are doing is you are filling that gap. So, instead of having relationship with a fellow human being, you can have relationship with a brand, and that brand or that brand personality will serve the same purpose, and you can replace the human being with a brand personality. So, you will hear that I am feeling depressed, I want to give myself a retail therapy. What does that retail therapy mean? That you go to the marketplace and you buy some stuff which will fill emptiness in your life. Now, you are filling the emptiness in your life with what? You are filling it with products, or if it is a evolved product, then it is brand. So, you are filling a gap, you are filling an emptiness in people's hearts through your brand, and that brand, if it is presented as a brand personality, you are filling that gap, that emptiness, that void in people's life with a brand personality, with a personality which is related to a product. You are filling it artificially. So, you may be doing a service to the human being who is not able to form real meaningful relationship with fellow human being, but he or she is able to form relationship with brands and products. So, this is a direction in which society is moving, and brand managers are helping the society in moving in this direction, where people try to fill their emptiness of soul, emptiness in heart with more shopping, with brands that they value, and so on and so forth, and in that way they express their personality. So, this is a question that I leave with you. This is a right thing to do or not a right thing to do. It is for us to think about, it is for us to ponder over, but this is a fact. This is something that is happening in society, and we must think about it, whether we should continue this trend or we should stop this trend. Thank you very much.